Hey everyone, today I'm going to be going over Algalon 25-man on a Prot warrior. So before we even get into the fight, there's a few things you'll want to do. The first one is you'll probably want to be the 5-15-51 spec, some variation of it. And for your glyphs, you're going to want Last Stand, Shield Wall, and Blocking. Warriors are really cooldown dependent on this fight, so you really want those short cooldowns. The 5-15-51 spec just allows you to bring Imp Demo Shout mainly, but it also lets you bring Commanding Presence to get the better Commanding Shout if that's not being brought. Attack power and attack speed debuffs are really important on this fight. It's going to significantly reduce the damage you're taking. Generally, you're not going to have to worry about the attack speed one because DKs put that up with Frost Fever. The attack power one, however, that one frequently gets missed. People ask me to look at their logs all the time, and missing attack power debuffs is very common. So make sure you're bringing Imp Demo Shout yourself so that you can ensure that that debuff is always up. If you have a prop value with you, they're going to be passively putting it up with Vindication, but it's good to still have Imp Demo Shout to cover for that because that one is a proc and it can miss too. You'll see a few times in this fight it actually falls off, so I have to apply Demo Shout to make sure that debuff is actually up. Alright, so right before the pull, we want to use a pre-pot. This is another thing I see people missing all the time in the logs I'm looking at. We want to use Indestructible Potions, and that gives you 3,500 more armor. That is absolutely crucial for this fight. And then about 2 minutes into the fight, you can use your second pot. It's not going to be exactly 2 minutes because you'll wait till a time when you're actually about to tank the boss before you pop it. You don't just want to pop it for no reason while you're not currently tanking. So before combat's actually started, we've got the pre-pot going. You should have Blood Rage going too, getting your rage ticking up. And then you'll start the fight with Shield Slam. After that, you can throw out your Commanding Shout. And then right before Algalon actually engages, pop Retail. I know some people use Recklessness, but that's a little dicey. So I would just use the Retail, not do the Recklessness. You could very easily just get insta-gibbed on the pull. And I also pop my Shield Block as the DBM timer is finishing so that I don't take any hits at the beginning of the fight without Shield Block up. Alright, so let's get into it. Immediately pop in the Retail and go D-stance, pop Shield Block. Revenge right off the bat just for Snap Threat, and then I would have Demo Shouted, but Pally insta-proc Vindication, so don't need that. And then we're just getting all the Sunders up. Got our 5-stack, perfect. And now our main focus here is going to be watching our cooldowns. So let me just rewind in case you missed it. So as soon as my Shield Block ends here, I'm popping Shield Wall, and that's kind of just going to be the order we do. We do Shield Block into Shield Wall into Last Stand with Trinkets and possibly Enrage Regen too. And then another Shield Block. And then we're going to get a external, most likely a Pain Sub from the Disc Priest. So right now I've got the Trinkets with the Last Stand running. And as soon as this ends, we're using the Shield Block, and we're keeping an eye on the AP debuff at all time too. Make sure that always stays up. That can basically never be off. And Shield Block ends, we get the Pain Sub. And there is going to be a small gap here. We're about to get the 4 though. So we got the 4 now. And our Pally is going to be taking over here. So he takes over, I get out, and I'm trying to taunt some of these constellations into melee. Also, pop the Shattering Throw to get that up after you're done tanking for the first time. And I'm trying to taunt these constellations, try to get them into melee so that they can interrupt them, like DKs and Shamans and stuff like that. And having them all grouped up nicely here allows me to shockwave them, so they're just going to stand still. Frost Nova works too, but occasionally Nova can get broken from damage, so throw the stun on it just for safety. And then we're going in to make sure that these don't close up any black holes that we don't want closed. So we go in, and come back out. And really important to make sure you're stacking with the melee, because if you go on the wrong foot, you could create a cosmic smash in a bad spot that will potentially kill people. Here, I usually don't do too much collapsing star kiting into black holes anymore, but I saw two really easy ones to get here, so I figured I would just go for them, make it a little bit easier. And this group hadn't actually killed Algalon before, so just anything to make it a little simpler. And as a pro player, I'm not really bringing a whole lot of extra damage anyway, so me not DPSing the boss for 10 seconds isn't gonna make or break us. So get one really easy taunt in there, one really easy one here. I was planning for this one to stay up, but I think the healers actually kited that one in. So we ended up getting rid of all of them, but that's totally fine. We just had Big Bang. We got a whole minute before we're going to have another one. So we're going to have other black hole opportunities. So now the other tank is at 4 secs. So I'm going to be taking over again. And you can see these cooldowns work out perfectly. So one thing here, I should be pre-popping this. I think I pop it like a second after a taunt, but you should pop it like right before you taunt, so you aren't taking hits without the armor buff. But right before you taunt, you're gonna shield block also, so you should be popping this armor pot now and pop the shield block right before you taunt. And make sure you give your healers a countdown. If you just kind of taunt and don't give them a big enough heads up, you're probably just gonna die. So we count it down, pop the armor pot, pop the shield block, and now we're just back into our bread and butter defensive cooldown rotation. So it's gonna be the shield block first. Then our next one's gonna be the shield wall. And I will have this WeakAuras available too. I'll have a link to that in the comments, along with my other ones if you want those. So we got the shield wall running, and it's bad to end. So now we're popping last stand in the trinket. And I should have popped my enraged regen here. I'm not sure why I didn't. I'm not sure if I actually use it in this fight. I definitely should have used that there. And okay, so here, there were no close black holes and Big Bang was coming up. So I just moved the boss over to make it really easy for everybody to get into the black hole in time. A lot of times, if the black hole is too far, people just aren't going to make it in. So you can definitely save some deaths by just positioning Algalon near it. I try not to really move Algalon much at all, but this is like one of the few situations it is pretty worth it. So we're going in, and I should have like charged those and shockwave them just for extra safety, but it ended up working out all right. And so that's like a big time you gotta really make sure you've got that AP debuff. Because a lot of times going into black hole, the vindication from the prop value is going to fade. So I would just throw like a demo shot to just be safe and just keep an eye on it. So then coming out of that black hole, we've got our shield block. And that cosmic was a little close to where I was, so I just moved a tiny bit until it was over. After my shield block ends, I call for the next pain sub. In this raid, we actually had a Holy Priest too, so we had a Guardian Spirit as well. I was saving that one for our other tank. He ended up not using it. So here I actually die. So I'm at 4 stacks right now. And our other tank, or prop guy, he's counting down his taunt. And I'm just going off his countdown. And so he's like 3, 2, 1. And so I just run out because I'm expecting the taunt. And I think the taunt resisted. And I'm guessing he didn't follow it up with his second taunt because prop values actually have 2. So it's really unlikely for something like this to happen because they have 2 taunts off the global cooldown, so you can just press both of them at the exact same time, and the chance of 2 taunts resisting is really, really low. So I'm not sure what happened, but I mean, I should just stayed there until I was sure that it was off of me. I was just expecting it to be. But I don't think I even gave my back there. So there really, even if I had stayed there, nothing would have really changed because you see the last hit I took was blocked. So I died there. The healers were all just off of me at that point because of the taunt swap countdown. So as soon as I popped up, I charged over to the constellations and shockwave them, just reduce damage going out a little bit. I'm really low HP right now, just trying to minimize any damage that's happening in the fight right now. And I should just intercept it back to Algalon. I'm not sure why I ran. It was a little silly. And here I should be like taunting these Zen more. I threw a conk on one of them. And I should have set one of them as my focus too and been interrupting them a bit. And I'm not sure why I like ran to that. I should just charged over there and shockwave them. Here, Demo Shout just fell off. AP debuff, Vindication. So I throw my Demo Shout up to cover it, and then he got a proc pretty quickly. Here we've got Big Bang, and I'm going to be taking it out of this because it's about time for a tank swap anyway. He's at 3 stacks right now. Algalon's going to immediately do a phase punch as soon as this ends. So it's not worthwhile to just have the prop ally taunt him, take 1 phase punch, and then I have to taunt him. We want to minimize like tank swaps because that's a really dangerous time when tanks can usually die. So since we're about to tank swap anyway, I'm just gonna be taunting it out of this. And I've got all my cooldowns back up too. So Algalon was over in like kind of a weird spot. He was like right on top of a black hole. So I'm just pulling him over here away from black holes so people don't, accidentally run into them. There's plenty of room for people to move for cosmic and everything. But in transit, there were kind of some awkward cosmics here. So I was calling that out and trying to move him at the same time. I did miss here that he didn't have an AP debuff. So we always want to make sure that's up. So for a couple of seconds, he was actually missing it. So that was a mistake that I made. Should have thrown out a Demo Shout earlier here, but I think I get it right there. So he was without for a couple seconds, but we really want that to be up at all times. So now we're just running our cooldowns, and I think I actually led with the wall. Yeah. So on this one, since it was kind of an awkward transition with like the black hole having to move and everything, I popped shield wall first. And I also figured I could just do that because like he was so close to dying anyway. I didn't think like the normal CD order was actually going to matter. So I did the shield wall into the shield block, and then we're going into the last stand with trinkets. And still not popping a rage regen. I don't know what's wrong with me. That should obviously should have been popped. I could have gotten 2 uses out of it this fight. Would have been great. And I called for a guardian spirit too. So after like last stand trinkets fell off, I called for a guardian spirit from our holy priest, and the boss is pretty much dead at this point. So then boss dies, and if for some reason like some people died there, fight went on a little bit longer, out of that guardian spirit, my shield block was coming back up too. So just to summarize the key points, make sure you're pre-popping an armor pot. You're using a second armor pot once your first one is worn off partway through the fight. Chain your cooldowns together well. We do the shield block into shield wall, last stand with trinkets and enrage regen, into shield block, into an external. And always make sure an improved version of an attack power debuff is up on Algalon at all times, as well as an attack speed one, but that one is generally just going to be there anyway. I hope you found this video helpful. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.